Okay, well, welcome back to the channel. David here for Royal Navy Yachtmaster. We're here on the Miami River with a beautiful brand new Fountaine Pajot motor catamaran. It's my client's first day out on the boat. He's on day one of his coaching with David, Royal Navy Yachtmaster. That's me. And here you can see just explaining to actually his wife a couple of little housekeeping items for when she will be acting as his deckhand when they actually take the family out once he's had his training from me. What we're explaining here is how the basics of anchoring with the best will in the world. James, my client, can't be out there on the foredeck anchoring while he's positioning the boat, so we're just explaining the basic concepts to his lovely wife, and her only involvement in the process will be to push the up button or the down button on the anchor windlass, making sure we set her up for success. All right, so here's to the coaching itself. So this is departure, day one, first time for James driving the boat. And you'll notice a few things here. Very important points. You noticed a couple of little squirts off the bow thruster. One of the coaching points that I make to my clients is when you are using the bow thruster, it's not a video game. So we try and coach to have at least a 3 or 4 or 5 second burst, let it take effect, and then reevaluate. Okay, so very important point with the bow thruster. Obviously on this catamaran, it's highly maneuverable. I'm just coaching James here, watching his closest point of approach to the dock, which is that aft starboard quarter. That's his limiting point. We've pre-briefed all this before we even attempt to exit from the dock, because as you see, looking ahead of the boat, very tight confines. On the port side, the closest point of danger is the anchor hanging off the bow of his next door neighbor boat. And what I want you to get from this is it's all done in a very unhurried manner. If you notice, as we exited, no one's running around with fenders. It's all pre-planned. I will admit there's no wind, so it's very easy conditions. But you'll notice that James is unhurried on the throttles, and he does a very nice transition here. You see, has he engaged forward gear? That's the point where he transitions onto the steering wheel. Same thing coming back in here. He's on the steering wheel up to this point, and then he transitions off. He's on the throttles and the bow thruster. And so when you leave the dock and when you come back to the dock, it's a absolutely positive transition from being on the wheel to being off the wheel and on the throttles. And once you're on the throttles, you're not going back on the wheel. It will have virtually no effect at this slow maneuvering speed, and you don't need it. You have 2 engines, and on this boat, a bow thruster as well, so you don't need the wheel. It will just confuse yourself, okay? So big coaching point here. Once you're off the wheel, you're on the throttles, and you're not going back, all right? So this is after 1 day of coaching with Royal Navy Yachtmaster. James is now about to dock his own boat, and look how tight the space is. It's a deep dock, 2 boat lengths deep, hardly any room to maneuver out here in front, and there's just a little bit of breeze. This was late afternoon. It's not disastrous, but there's the occasional 10-knot puff coming through the gaps in the trees. So James is doing a real nice job. Keep in mind, this is his very first time docking his new boat, all right? So, one thing I want you to notice, everything is in slow time, really gentle on the throttles, never more than idle engine power. Little kick ahead there on the port engine just to reposition. We're just lining up. As I said, there's just a little puff of breeze, nothing much, but just a little. You'll notice his fenders down the starboard side, all perfectly set out. Look at the height of those. They're a little high. That's appropriate for the dock that he's going into. You may need to set your fenders lower, but look how they're all nice and even. It looks really smart. It kind of shows people that you know what you're doing. You've invested the time in yourself and your training, and you know what you're doing. That little shot in through the window there, you can see James is on the throttles only and the bow thruster. There's no wheel, just having a little maneuvering here. And look at that fender on the starboard quarter there, right on the corner. That's his closest point of danger, is that corner of the dock right there. Again, we're at such slow speed, nothing's going to happen if we nudge it. But my point here is that he didn't nudge it. He came very close, but that's the degree of control that James has on his brand new boat after one day of coaching. Look how he rotated, once he'd got in the gap, he rotated till the boat was straight, little squirt on the bow thruster, and back we go. Look how nice this is. No drama, no running around with fenders, totally cool. After one day of coaching, James is ready to take his family out with no stress and no worries. And as you saw at the start of the sequence there, I was coaching his wife on how to set the ropes up for a very, very easy let go. You'll see it in a moment here once we've tied up. I just take a lateral rope onto the closest cleat on the dock. I heard someone call it a sergeant rope. If that's what you want to call it a sergeant. And all it does is it just gets your first line ashore, so the boat isn't going to drift away, it's not going to do anything, and then it gives you time to set up your proper ropes, your stern line, your bow line, your springs, etc. So keep in mind, you'll see it coming up right here in this next little phase, that little sideways rope, the sergeant. It's also a great way to let go when you're heading out. I was teaching James's wife how to just let go. It means that in the preparation for leaving the dock, James again can take care of all the ropes, the bow line, the stern line, all that stuff, leaving his wife undistracted to look after the children. And then when he's ready, she can just let go of that one rope. And here it is, a beautiful, successful first docking. And then we set up the rest of the ropes in slow time. So thanks so much for watching. I hope that was helpful.